Okay, and hey there! So we're back again.
With episode 2 of
Future-proof Young Money Ideas.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about the largest tech transfer of power and money to the next generation.
Interesting.
Only if you're prepared. Alright?
I am. I hope you guys are.
So this generation, your generation, and mine too I hope, is going to participate in the next 5 to 10 years in the largest transfer of power and money if you know what you're doing. Right? So because everything is changing, we all can feel it. If you don't know the technical details, you can just feel it. Alright?
Just feel
the way we work, the economy, the way things are, and it's not just a pandemic. Things were changing already before the pandemic, alright? And the pandemic is just only an accelerant. It just makes things faster. So, and because we're in a very unique place in history, in terms of geography, and in terms of time, alright? So we're talking about ASEAN positioning ourselves between US and China.
Yes, because we're not there or here, we're in the middle.
Yeah, we're right in the middle. We're right in the middle. So it's about strategic positioning and hashtag don't get left behind. Alright?
Good one.
Because you have about 5 to 10 years to prepare yourself and the future is going to come rushing like a train. Okay? So the topic of future-proof young money ideas will cover items from how money and power and wealth is going to transfer to the next generation that's technologically prepared, right? We're going to cover everything that used to be considered dull, business history from geography, how technology is going to change even racism, culture racism. Because let's admit it, you can't hide it, there's racism everywhere.
Of course.
But technology and mobile technology itself is just going to change the way it works, all right? And I think your generation actually has the power to make real change, right?
Awesome. So we'll see about that. I am excited already.
So the many topics that we're going to cover will be from artificial intelligence, AI, robotics, automation, displacement of human jobs, all right? Imagine if it was 20 years from now, either Liani or myself will be talking robots, I guess.
We'll be replaced by robots and it's already hard enough to find a job. Okay.
And robots complain less actually, to be honest. We gripe a lot, right? So we'll cover also investment trends, follow the money. You can never go wrong, follow the money, alright? Because money follows where supply and demand is. So going back to basic supply and demand, employment opportunities, alright? How basically blockchain is going to change everything from documentation, anything that involves documentation, whether you're a lawyer or in the music industry, blockchain is going to change it, right? A lot of people don't know how, and that's the fun thing. If you position yourself, you study ahead of the crowd. So we're going to cover also things like healthcare, mobile healthcare versus big data, DNA splicing and genomics, EV, electric vehicles.
Yes, it's becoming a trend right now. I mean, for the longest time.
Correct. I've been telling every young person that I know, try not to buy a car within the next 5 to 10 years because there's going to be a huge change, all right, in how we own cars and how we use cars, because we're talking about it's not just Tesla. Tesla is just one of many things driving the change. But governments are going to raise the road tax or the taxes for cars that are using petrol, right? And I think the entire industry is going to switch towards battery-driven vehicles, right? Because we're killing the planet.
Yeah, we are.
With carbon fuels.
We are.
So
for the longest time.
China has a target in less than 10 years. It wants 80% of the cars on the road to be electric vehicles. You know how crazy that is?
Well, it's unimaginable right now. I can't imagine.
In terms of the number of cars on the road to be electric cars, right? So that's why Tesla shares are going through the roof. And we're talking about renewable energy, all right? 3D printing, and then something that really interests me is 3D food printing. So imagine in the near future you can print a steak or duck meat or chicken meat, whatever is fancy, and it's all made of the same soy protein.
Yes,
but you can print out any kind of food that you want.
Yes, I've seen those experiments doing that. So we'll talk about more about that.
So we'll cover startups and tech, and so today's topic we're gonna go in detail about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
All right, one of my favorite topics. And we're gonna touch a bit about Clubhouse, how they raised $110 US, all right? 110 million US dollars, sorry.
The app that is only available in Apple right now.
And that day you were asking me, do you think that Clubhouse will work? I think the answer depends on whether the whole reason behind Clubhouse is people want to hear human voices. If you've been trapped at home, so now the vaccine is coming. In Malaysia, it's going to reach us by about before the end of February. We heard. So when you're out of the house and you can actually meet real people, the question: do you still need Clubhouse? That is a good question.
Is it still relevant?
It is still relevant by then. We shall see, because the future is only 3 months away when we can all come out and connect to each other.
Yes.
If anyone want to ask questions, we are PCR tested green. So we technically know each other, so we're cool. Alright. So, and another thing in the news, Bumble, your favorite app. Lihani has awesome personal profile pictures on Bumble. You can check her out. Alright. She's very happening.
If you
alright?
guys find me.
And
okay.
some of my younger friends tell me that Bumble has a lot of matsales, white people on board looking for Asian chicks.
Well, I'm not
Is that
interested
true?
in matsale.
So I don't know. Okay, so but Bumble raised 2.15 billion. But interesting note, the first female CEO who brought the company to IPO, her name is Whitney Wolf, and she's the youngest female CEO who actually brought the
How
company.
young?
31 years old.
Whoa.
And she's also interesting trivia. She's also a one of the co-founders of Tinder.
Oh,
So it's natural if
interesting.
she started Tinder, she wanted to create a version just for women where women are in charge.
Yes, women are in charge in Bumble. That's why I like it. Okay.
So
Just
that probably
31.
explains why I'm not there. Just kidding. So, and this week in Malaysia, Sugar Book, their publicity stunt backfired.
Really bad. Really bad. Nice effort, guys, but
Publicity was way too good, and they should have known with I'm sorry to say, the Malaysian political environment and the way they do things. They like to sweep everything under the carpet.
yes, and it's not a norm for them,
They're
for
not-
our community to be open about that.
Yeah, they won't be solving problems. The real problems are still there. Young girls still need to generate income for themselves. Tuition fees are still expensive to
Yes,
pay.
and rising.
And we know that a lot of our young followers from universities and colleges are complaining to us that tuition fees are still the same. There's no discount, regardless, even if you're studying from home.
True.
So they can sweep Sugar Book under the carpet and just block access, but the real problem is still there.
Yes.
So they haven't solved that social issue yet.
Yes, it's about money, and that's why we're here, guys. Young money, thinking of ideas.
So that's what happened just in the last few days. What an interesting Chinese New Year has been. right?
Malaysia.
So
What's so interesting?
okay, so you have a series of questions. You're
Exactly.
a Bitcoin noob.
Yes.
Technically, I am too, but I do research very fast. All right, and I'm
Okay.
fully invested right now.
And I-
So feel free to ask the questions.
All right. First and foremost, we've been talking about Bitcoin since the first episode. So, what is Bitcoin exactly? What is it?
Okay,
Is it like a coin that you can hold?
No, it's a digital coin. So Bitcoin is technically the most famous cryptocurrency that everyone's talking about. Cryptocurrencies are basically currencies built on blockchain technology. And you're gonna ask me, what the hell are blockchains? Blockchain is basically a digital ledger.
Yes.
I know you didn't like accounts when you were studying accounts. So accounts are ledgers, right? There's a
Yes.
debit, there's a credit.
The very least
so
I know that.
blockchains are the digital version of that.
Uh-huh.
It's a database format used to store information. So now if you're a young programmer in Malaysia, a young person trying to study digital programming, I would advise you to learn coding in C++, Java, or Python.
Okay, I have no idea what that is. But
Okay,
speaking of currencies,
Yeah, because just to add on, because
Yeah.
we're supposed to guide young people on how to prepare themselves
Yeah.
for the future. So if you want to be able to participate in the blockchain economy, the key languages which you need to get familiar with is C++, Java, or Python. Alright, I won't mention, there's another language called Rust, R-U-S-T, but I'm not going to mention it, it's not very popular. But if you, for example, Bitcoin was written in C++, so if you know your basic programming, you can participate in it, alright? And if you wanted me to define what is currency is basically
Yes.
any form of exchange which is acceptable between two parties.
So it doesn't have to be money. It can be like system butter back in those days.
I give you a simple example. You have right in front of me a counterfeit version of the US dollars. Counterfeit because you can see it's a rather over large size.
Okay.
So Liani, you have a 20 US dollars in front of me, and it has the face of Andrew Jackson, who is well known for the wrong things. It's actually a racist ex-president of the United States. So, but it's a 20 US dollars. All right. So you have an
Okay.
Andrew Jackson here.
Okay.
And in my other hand, you have from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, $100 trillion.
Whoa.
Right? So in one hand, I have 20 US dollars. Another hand, I have 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars. Which one do you want to go for?
I wish my bank account would have this many zeros, but how much does this cost actually?
Probably, but let me ask you first, which one would you grab first? A 20 US dollar or a Zimbabwe
I'll
100
take the
trillion?
racist money here.
You'll take the 20 US dollars.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, a side trivia, they're going to change the $20 note with a black woman by the name of Harriet Tubman.
Ooh, awesome.
She was incidentally the lady who during the slave era United States, right, helped a lot of slaves to escape to freedom. So they're gonna place her on the $20 US note, which is a bit of a very interesting
Choice
of people because
Yeah.
they're changing a racist with a black lady. But you made the right choice though. $20 US has value in $20 US dollars.
This is more or
But
less 100 ringgit Malaysia.
The 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars is probably worth less than 1 ringgit Malaysia. So, so you made a good choice, all right? But this just shows you that currency depends on supply, demand, and acceptance, all right? So we'll go more in detail why Bitcoin exists.
Okay.
Right? So Bitcoin exists as long as people accept that there's value behind them. All right, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hopefully get you up to speed in terms of what's Bitcoin all about. All right. Okay. So you had a second question that day.
Yes. So, is there only one Bitcoin, or how many are there actually?
Okay. There are actually over 1,000 plus Bitcoins, but let's talk about categories first so it's easier to understand. Okay, so there's 3 categories of Bitcoin, all right? First is the original Bitcoin, which you all know, right? The one that was launched in about 2008, 2009, all right? That has taken its time, over 10 to 12 years to build acceptance,
It's been
all right?
around for a while.
So you have the second category, which is called altcoins. So altcoins just means any cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin.
So alternative.
Yeah, alternative coins. So
Okay.
Bitcoins, the second category is altcoins. So there's over 1,000 plus altcoins out there. So of course, the second or third most famous ones would be Ethereum. A lot of people have been talking about Ethereum. There's also Litecoins and Neocoins and so forth, and also the one we covered last week, the cute one called Dogecoin, or you refer to it
Doggo coin?
Doggy coins.
Okay.
Doggy coins. Yeah, you refer to it as doggy coins. So that's more like a meme coin, right?
Okay.
So you have Bitcoins, altcoins, and you have tokens. Tokens run on what you call dApps, alright? They can be anything we want them to be. Now, let me just get back to basics before I confuse you, just to make it a bit easier. Bitcoins, altcoins, and tokens are built on blockchain technology. Blockchain, as we mentioned, is basically a ledger or something to hold information. So, why they're so powerful is because, for example, you and I can make an agreement for you to sell me your car. So in real life, of course, I wouldn't want your car, but let's say in theory that you want to sell me your car.
Okay.
So we don't really need to go through a lawyer. So you and I can have an agreement written onto Ethereum, the blockchain, and that could run as a token on an app, right? So once we have that agreement, it's already sealed between you and me. You have to pass me your car, I'll pass you, let's say, Ethereum coins, and the deal is done. All right?
So purchase.
So basically, and we're talking about an agreement between two people. When you scale this up to include the economy, that's where blockchain comes in very useful. So we don't have to use cash. We both agree that this has value. All right? And basically, it's a ledger which doesn't require a lawyer to be a witness that you sold me your car, because it's already written between you and me. It's accessible to the public and you can't change it.
Even a lawyer's job is being taken over by technology.
So yes, what's missing right now to make it even more popular is because in the near future I see an explosion of our apps coming to make blockchain life easier for ordinary people. So if you and I want to go into that contract for me to buy your car in the near future, currently there's no popularly accepted app that enables us to go into that relationship or that contract. But soon, very soon, I believe that apps are hitting the market where basically people can make contracts with each other without going through lawyers, without going through banks, without going through the government, and those agreements are recognized as solid.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
I
what
won't be surprised.
That's what makes it. You can even sell me a house. I can sell you a house, and you can pay me in Ethereum or Bitcoin or Neocoin or even Doggy coins.
Yeah.
As long as there's a market value for it. So there's a huge industry that's just started. Right, that is why it's very interesting, and Bitcoin is the foundation of how it all starts. All right,
I won't be surprised it'll be booming in the next few years.
So
yeah, you've been talking about currencies and coins and investments and everything. What exactly again is your background?
Okay, as we covered last week, when I was headhunted back to Malaysia, I was actually headhunted as a portfolio manager or investment banker to manage a portfolio of $3 billion during the Asian financial crisis. So basically, yeah, I've been trading currencies for a very long time. But you asked me that day, what's my lesson that I learned from my days as a banker?
Why are you out of it now?
The key lesson that I learned from banking was that banks don't lend you money when you need credit. I mean, I saw a lot of companies during the crisis left high and dry.
Oh.
Alright. Especially when you need banks the most, they won't lend you credit. They will lend you money when you don't need it. That's one thing I learned about the industry. So, but why I left banking was because I wanted to do something more meaningful. As I mentioned, today we're running a social enterprise, guiding young people, connecting them to the future. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, because I feel there's so much potential that we can prepare our youth for the coming future. We're at the right place at the right time, if we know how to position ourselves. And the sad thing I see, which I cannot, I say in Bahasa they always say cannot tahan, right? I can't take it, I can't stand it, because a lot of young people don't see the potential, and that is why they are not preparing for it.
Yes, and above all else, we need to prepare for the future today, because tomorrow is today.
Correct.
Right?
So yeah. So you had a list of questions, right?
Yes. So let's move forward to the next one. Okay. So I've asked you how many bitcoins are there.
Okay. The answer is basically there's about 21 million bitcoin. Okay. In the entire life of bitcoins, there can only be 21 million bitcoins. As of today, there's only about 18.35 million bitcoins already mined in circulation. That means we are coming soon to the very limit of Bitcoin. There cannot be more than 21 million Bitcoins in circulation. That's what makes it quite valuable, because there's a limited number, there's scarcity.
Yes, it's scarce.
And they follow something called a half-life formula.
Oh yes, what is it? What is half-life?
Okay, every 4 years, alright, there's something called the halvening. Halvening, correct.
Okay.
So Bitcoin miners, basically digital programmers or nerds, you call them nerds, alright? They can only mine blocks of Bitcoin, and it's becoming less and less and less every 4 years. Alright, that means when they complete mining a block, the first time it came out was 25 Bitcoins, and right now I think it's running, if I'm not mistaken, about 6.25 Bitcoins. And so the next halvening is actually in 2024. We actually went through a halvening last year.
Oh.
So basically, what a halvening means is there's less and less bitcoins to mine. Alright, it cuts down to half the size. So like a half-life formula for nuclear fusion or nuclear fission, I'm sure we all know the formula, right? So, so it cuts down to half every 4-year cycle. But and a lot of people say that the following year, when the halvening happens, the value doubles up, or I mean goes up, because there's even less coins to mine.
Yeah, so the lesser it is, the more scarce it is, the higher the value.
Correct. So limitation gives it scarcity, and recognition gives it value. Sort of like our celebrities. Example, let's say Tom Cruise.
Okay.
He's quite scarce. There's only one Tom Cruise in the world.
Only one of him in the world.
And I think he's proven himself over time. Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've lost track how many Mission Impossibles are there.
I can't remember.
So he's proven himself over time, literally. Now Top Gun, he's like the oldest pilot, right? Top Gun Part 2, right?
Yeah.
So he's accepted globally, and that makes him very scarce and valuable.
Yeah, hence why he could demand for more.
So there's a huge demand. Never forget back to supply and demand. Alright.
Okay, so is it risky?
Okay,
Is it risky?
it's a very interesting way to use risky. In banking terms, there's a difference between volatility and risk. There's two different words.
Okay, what are those?
Okay, some things can be volatile and risky, some things can be just risky, and some things can be just volatile. You have to understand the definition. Okay. In terms of let's say, for example, politics, the Malaysian government is both risky and volatile at this point in time. So because they don't know if they're going to the same party in power is going to be in power the next 3 months or 6 months. That's why they have this emergency, right?
So yes, they're unsure on the stability of things.
Yeah, but jokes aside, back to volatility versus risk. For Bitcoin is volatile in a sense that volatile is you can't really predict the price with 100% certainty. But what can you predict with 100% certainty, right? Risk means there's a chance that it can go down to zero or even less than half, or it'll drop down drastically. So now, based on our discussion over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll explain to you why Bitcoin is volatile. It is moving very fast. Volatile means there's a lot of movement.
Yes.
But in my personal opinion, it is not risky because I don't think it will drop down to zero anytime soon. As proven over the last 6 months, last 1 year, last 5, last 10 years. Every time it drops down, someone buys it back up again. Okay, and as I mentioned, there's a scarcity of coins available, and no one wants to let go of their coins anytime soon. All right.
True.
So
yeah, so it's not that risky. And also, what is happening actually on a global scale, a macro level, the big global macro level? Should I, as a youth, invest or gamble my way through Bitcoin?
And then that day you asked me a smart question also, right? Should you use Bitcoin for shopping?
Yes, completely forgot. Yes, should the cash that we got from Bitcoin be used to buy materials, buy anything that I want? Let
me try to answer your 3 questions in one here. Number 1, what's happening globally? Why is it driving Bitcoin up? Number 2, should you invest? And number 3, can you use it to buy stuff? It's a 3-in-1 loaded question here. So we'll go through very quickly. Let me answer it through A, B, and C very quickly. A, number 1, history versus geography versus culture. There was a time in history when the United States was number 1.
Oh, yes.
Alright, it was not too long ago. Alright, so World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, and so forth. Alright, in fact, a lot of people are saying the business of America are wars. Alright, if you want to compare the business of China as business, they just want to do business for China. For America, the business of America is actually war. They've been fighting non-stop if you actually track history.
Come to think of it, yes, it makes sense.
And wars are expensive.
Yes.
Very.
Yes.
So what happened? A quick walk through history without boring you, okay?
No worries.
It used to be that you can exchange this US dollar, alright, backed by gold.
Oh yes, I've heard of it.
As a young person, do you think it's still possible?
It should be possible.
No, this is just paper. The US dollar is no longer backed by gold. Alright? It happened in 1970, or 1971 to be exact. What Nixon did, the President of the United States, was he decided to take the US dollar off gold, unpeg it. It's not linked to gold. Because during the Vietnam War, when the United States wanted to print more money to support the war, a lot of countries wanted to take their gold back because they were keeping their gold in the United States. So he decided to separate the two and say, hey, we're United States, we are currently number 1, you'll just take this paper at face value and accept it as $20.
So it's all talk here.
It's called fiat money. Fiat is by order or by demand or by request. That means just respect the fact that it's $20.
Okay, so it's like by a layman's term, believing that this is the value of
over
20.
This one. For example, simple, if I were to ask you which one would you take, a $20 US or 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars? You would pick the $20 US any given time.
Because the propaganda is that this is much more valuable
because
than
the economy of the United States is much more stable, much more stronger than that of Zimbabwe. So hence you would actually choose US dollars anytime.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so that's how fiat money works. By confidence.
By confidence, okay.
Right? So the Americans have printed on their money, they say in God we trust. But technically I think in gold they trust. But there's no more gold behind here. So long story short, there became the Middle East Arab oil embargo. The Arabs started pricing their petrol higher. So that's why everything started kicking in, and that's why the Americans are involved in Middle East wars for the last 20, 30, 40 years.
And all,
because the US dollar technically oil can only be traded in US dollars for the longest time. But all that is changing because, as you mentioned a bit earlier, electric vehicles, we don't like petrol anymore.
No,
alright, we don't like carbon fuels anymore.
Exactly.
So everything is changing in your generation. Okay, so what
a big change.
And I'm trying to summarize 50 years into 5 minutes here. So follow me here. So it's no longer backed by gold. We know that. It's just trust the US dollar for what it's worth. And if I were to give you the ability to start printing money, you would print as much of it as you could, right?
Yes.
It's just a printing press.
Yes.
So today, 2020, the United States owes a total of 27 trillion US dollars. That's a lot of money to everybody. China, Japan, the whole wide world. All right. And coming soon, in fact, in the next few weeks, Biden is going to start printing another 1.9 trillion in debt to revive the US economy. And this is actually driving up interest in Bitcoin. Because everyone believes that the more you hold of this paper, the less value it becomes. And throughout history, fiat money, I mean all these currencies, paper money is called fiat money, right? Throughout history of mankind, all fiat money have lost up to 99% of their value over the lifetime of usage. Whether you follow the British pounds, whether you follow the Netherlands guilders or the US dollars, they all lose value. Paper is paper. Alright? And all governments do the same thing. They like to print more and more of it. And all governments do the same thing. They like to keep promises to the current voters and throw the debt forward to the next generation. It's a human thing. You can't break the human cycle. That is why people are interested to have something that has more value. And you all know the story. We always say that, hey, your ringgit buys less, right?
Yes.
Now, 20 years ago, you could buy probably a house in a neighborhood in Malaysia called Taman Tun, all right, for probably 600,000 ringgit.
Oh, okay.
Today, I know you're shaking. I know you're shaking.
That's a price that's unheard of. Okay.
I think that I saw recently a house in Taman Tun just went for like 4 million, a standard bungalow house, all right. So, and that same house was $600,000 less than 20 years ago. It's just to show you the value of your ringgit or US dollars will always decline over time. That's why your generation is working harder and harder, but you can't afford stuff. Everything keeps getting a bit out of reach.
Makes a lot more sense nowadays, guys.
So that partially explains why people with money are trying to find something they can hold on to that doesn't lose value.
It's asset over the paper.
Correct. You would prefer assets over paper anytime, right?
Yes.
So Bitcoins is digital assets, but if you're in the United States right now, through the pandemic, property prices has gone through the roof. Everyone's buying property because they don't want to hold their money in currency.
Yes, they rather have the thing solid instead of people believing on what the currency is.
Correct. It hasn't happened in Malaysia yet because Malaysian government is not printing money. All right. But the US government is. So hence they're either buying property or buying tech stocks, but no one wants to invest in stocks at this level right now. It's very high. So they're going to either Bitcoin or property. All right.
Okay, so speaking of investing, I've heard of two terms of investing. So social investing and institutional investing.
Okay, social investing is a new term. We covered that last week. GameStop is social investing. Basically, it's getting a lot of group of young people together through social media and buying the same thing at the same time, driving up the price.
Okay.
So institutional investing has been around for a long time. It's big companies. I used to be an institutional investor. We will manage funds for big companies, 3 billion, 10 billion, and so forth. But what makes it interesting now is institutional investors are going into Bitcoin. That means if I'm a company, I could be in the United States, I could be in Malaysia, I have cash reserves.
Yes.
And my cash reserves could be about 100 million, 1 billion, 10 billion. A lot of accountants now are entertaining the fact of holding at least 1%, 5% of your cash available in Bitcoin. The same example, we talked about a house just now, right? 20 years ago. Companies with money, would you want to keep your money in terms of cash, fiat currency, paper currency? Or would you want to put it into something that can retain value?
Yes, of course, something that can retain value and potentially grow the value.
Correct. And I'm just talking about 1% or 5%, but if I'm Apple and I have like 100 billion in cash, 1% is 1 billion US dollars. So I'm not saying Apple is going to Bitcoin yet, but I'm sure they're considering it. But Tesla has gone into Bitcoin.
Oh yes.
Tesla has about 9 to 15 billion dollars in cash. They decided to put 1.5 billion into Bitcoins and they're quite smart. A lot of companies will see what they I think Elon Musk is someone I respect. He saw this opportunity first. Number one, if let's say Tesla, for example, they bought 1.5 billion dollars of Bitcoin. If the value of Bitcoin goes down, they can write it to their accounts as losses and offset their profits. That means they can pay less taxes.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, but if the value of Bitcoin goes up, they can write it as equity. Again, without paying taxes. So it's like the way they treat accounting. I know accounting is not exciting to everyone, but it is relating to you because now companies have a reason to keep Bitcoin. If the value goes down, they can write it off as financial losses for the year, so they pay less taxes. But if the value goes up to 2 times or 3 times, which they believe it will, they can put into assets, and they still don't pay taxes. So it's a very interesting way because of the way they treat, it's accounting treatment, how they treat accounts.
Hence why we need to know this, guys. So
there's a reason now why a lot of companies want to hold at least 1%, 5%. Why holding only 1 or 5%? Because it's gradually gaining acceptance. I mean, if Tesla is doing it, if MicroStrategy is doing it, it's another big company in the United States, a lot more companies are doing it.
They will
eventually
follow.
Everyone's gonna follow.
Yes.
And when America does it, then only Asia will follow because we all like to follow everyone else. So yeah.
Yes, okay. So how do a person or I myself get started into Bitcoin?
Okay, so very quickly, you could start off with a Bitcoin wallet. Alright, a Bitcoin wallet is something you just keep Bitcoin in. You exchange your ringgits or US dollars for Bitcoin. Alright,
Okay.
so some popular wallets would be Luno or Swan or Coinbase. Alright, Luno is one of the 2 platforms approved by Malaysian government to be official cryptocurrency wallet. But Swan and Coinbase are very popular in the United States. I always advise everyone to do your own homework. Alright? So before you download the app, see how many people download it.
Research before
Research, do your
proceeding.
homework. For example, just quoting off the top of memory, Luno I think has more than 5 million downloads. So if you won't be the first one to complain if anything goes wrong, right? There's another 5 million people ahead of you.
Okay.
Coinbase I think has about 10 million downloads, so there's a lot of people who are already using it. So check out the reviews, alright? And there's a very interesting platform which we'll put in the link below, BlockFi, BLOCKFI, BlockFi. They actually pay you interest income on your Bitcoins that they hold for you. Now, the wallets I mentioned, Luno, Swan or Coinbase, they don't pay you anything, it's just a wallet.
It's just a place where you reserve your coins.
But they also charge you a fee. If you convert your paper currency to Bitcoin, they would charge you a fee.
Of course, service fees and all
But
that.
BlockFi or BlockFi, actually pays you an interest for holding your Bitcoins with them. So you can actually earn interest on your Bitcoins.
In a way, you are earning through.
Correct, because they will lend your
there.
Bitcoin to other institutional investors and pay share the interest with you. And you can also borrow against your holding of Bitcoins in US dollar currencies. That means, for example, if you have 100,000 US dollars worth of Bitcoins, you can borrow 10,000 against it as collateral. So BlockFi is a very, very interesting platform. In terms of recognition, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. They are one of their backers are the Winklevoss twins.
I'm so sorry.
From the famous movie Social Media, the one where the 2 twins that sued Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
Alright,
Okay.
so
Now
they're
you
quite
mention
famous,
it.
by the way, in the States. They're rich as hell, so they are backing BlockFi among many other institutions. Alright, so there's many ways you can get started in Bitcoin. So you can start a wallet, or you can check out BlockFi. Right.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot of platforms out there, guys. So open your books or Google.
Do your homework. Do your homework.
Yes, do your homework. So, in Bitcoin, there's a few levels. So, what are the levels of
Entry
Bitcoin?
level. Okay, what level should you go in? Okay, very straightforward. I've about 5 weeks from ago, I think it was about January 20th, I tried to encourage my team members, my young team members, to put a little bit into Bitcoin. I told them don't risk everything, just put 1% of your net worth. And that time, that level, it was trading about 33,000 US dollars, or in ringgit terms, about 132,000 ringgit, around that level. Today is already trading at about 215,000 ringgit, or about 51,000 US dollars. So my best advice to anyone who wants to get in, wait for it to consolidate. It won't crash. I don't think it's going to crash anytime soon. As I mentioned, the US government is printing a lot of paper currency. Corporations in the United States are recognizing this as a platform where they can store value
And save themselves.
and try to avoid unnecessary income taxes where possible. And American corporations always hate taxes. All right. So there's a lot of build-up momentum behind this. All right. So a lot of people I respect in the marketplace are expecting it to touch at least 60,000 US dollars and actually touch 100,000 US dollars, or Malaysian terms 405,000 ringgit level before the end of this year. But getting there, it won't be a straight line. It's gonna go up and come down, go and come down. So there's a term in investment we call consolidation. Wait for the price to go sideways for quite some time. You can see it. It'll usually go sideways and try to test a support level for some time. For example, right now in US dollar terms, it's trading at 51,650. It'll probably test 50,000 a few times. Right? Or in ringgit terms, it's currently trading at 215,000 ringgit. It'll probably test 190, 200,000 ringgit a few times. That means it'll try to go down a few times. If it can't break through, you can see. It's download an app a free app called Trading View. Alright? And Trading View gives you charts. Once you look at charts, you look for a pattern called consolidation pattern. So basically it goes sideways. If it goes sideways long enough, you may have an opportunity to go in. Alright? But as with all things, do your homework. Don't go in with everything you own, including your house, your car, your cat, your dog.
Risk it
Don't
all.
sell your cat and dog and everything just to go in. Put in a small amount that you can afford to lose, alright? But I don't think it's going to go down to zero. Not likely, alright?
Well, start small, do your homework.
Make sure you go in an amount that you can hold, even if it drops a bit, alright? Because in the long term, there's a strong confidence level in the marketplace that is gonna, right now, as I said, in US dollar terms, it's trading at 51,650. Eventually, it's gonna touch 60,000 and 100,000 before the end of this year. In terms of confidence level, of course, there's no such thing as written in black and white. That's 100% gonna happen. But it's a very strong confidence level in the marketplace that it could happen.
Okay,
right?
so with the strength of Bitcoin, but at the same time...
I forgot to mention a very important point. Remember the $1.9 trillion that President Joe Biden is printing? These checks, he'll be sending out checks to ordinary Americans to the tune of 1,400 US dollars.
Okay, we talked about that.
These checks will reach a lot of Americans by April, May. And what they did last year with these checks, they put it into the stock market, they put it into Bitcoin. So that's another reason why a lot of young people, young guys mostly, will actually use their checks to buy a Bitcoin, to hold on to it. Because they will exchange their paper dollars for digital currency.
Which is more...
Yeah, which will be able to hold value longer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, as I said, so many great things about Bitcoin, but even this morning, I read an article about Bitcoin scams. So this obviously shouldn't be alien to you. So what are they?
Okay, one of my favorite topics in finance school was scamming and schemes and how people actually con money, and it's very interesting to understand.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to be a scammer.
Oh no interest in that, because there's a mathematical formula that I came up with why scamming is unproductive. You actually lose more money being a scammer, especially if you get caught. Alright? So it's actually more profitable to do things correctly.
See? Okay.
It's called, if you don't want to talk mathematical terms, just call it karma. Alright? So long story short, before I go there, one more thought on Bitcoin which we forgot. Bitcoin is not, I think it was originally meant as a storage of value where you're supposed to exchange for goods and services. But because I believe that we're still in the early stage of price discovery for Bitcoin, alright, a lot of people use it for investment. They're not going to use it as currency to buy and sell. Because, for example, if I'm holding Bitcoin right now, I'm not going to use it to buy a burger or a lunch or dinner, because if I spend it today, tomorrow it's going to go on higher. You get where I come from? So in terms of using it as currency, I don't think people will want to use it or give it away for now. They'll prefer to hold on to it. So it's more used as a storage of value for investment, not so much for transactions.
Okay,
so because a lot of people keep saying, hey, Bitcoin is supposed to be for transactions, it was meant that way, but because we're still in the early phase of Bitcoin, a lot of people don't want to let go of it. So they're just going to keep on holding on to it. So it's more like storage, not for transactions at this point in time. So back to your question of scamming, very simple. It's very easy to spot a scammer when they tell you they're going to do everything for you, and all you have to do is pass me the money and I'm going to do everything for you. If anyone tells you that, run away in the opposite direction as fast as you can. When a lot of friends in my circle ask me, hey Jason, can you help me in investments? Now if I'm a close friend to them, I'll do them better. I'll teach them how to invest.
Very noble.
Alright? No, it's not just noble, it makes sense, because teaching them how to fish, that means everyone around me knows how to fish. And in theory, the community around me is full of fish or fish rich, all right?
Okay.
In a sense.
Makes sense.
But if I do it for them, it's very stressful. If we lose the fish or there's no fish for the next few weeks, I will feel very guilty about it.
Understood.
So it makes more sense for me to teach people around me how to fish. So scammers work in a way where they want to do, number one, they will do everything for you. Scammers get away with it because most of their victims, I'm sorry to use the word study lazy. You just do everything for me, I trust you.
Yeah.
Now I try to encourage people around me to learn how to fish because it's better they learn themselves how to do it. So one trait of scammers is like, you give me all the money you have available, 50,000, 100,000, and I'll put in the Bitcoin for you. They don't show you any proof, they don't show you any digital ledger, and it doesn't make sense because you can invest in Bitcoin, as you mentioned, just by using your mobile phone. You can do it in 2 minutes. You don't need anyone else to do it for you. It's like me telling you that, hey, Lihani, if you got salary now, you're working, give me a salary and I'm going to open a bank account for you. You don't need me to open a bank account for you.
No brainer, you can do that on your own.
You can open a Bitcoin wallet on your own without any help. So I mean, that's one way to recognize a scammer. They'll do everything for you, just hand the money over. So whether it's Bitcoin scams, gold scams, multi-level marketing scams, they all follow the same pattern. Hand over your money, we'll do everything for you. That is one of the first patterns to recognize a scam in motion. All right. They usually target older family members. So if you have your mom, your dad, or older folks, they tend to be a bit trusting. So you have to watch out for them. It's better you open a wallet for them. Alright, if they want to put any money in the Bitcoin. But also, you better, if it's close family members, you better remember the password for them. Because a lot of people have put money in the Bitcoin's digital wallet and they forgot the password.
Oh goodness.
So they can't reach the money anymore.
Oh goodness. You can't reset the password? Okay.
No, and then like everything else, there's only a limited number of tries before you get locked up forever.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, Bitcoin is interesting, but like I said, do it yourself, learn about it yourself, because it's going to be the way of the future anyway. Right?
Oh, wow. So be careful, guys. So study on that one. So, in your opinion, when is our economy will be reopening, and what do you think will happen by then?
Okay, back to our Malaysian economy. If you follow charts like I do, more nerd stuff, right? If you look at the daily infection rates in the United States, it's dropping very fast. That's because they started the vaccination. Right? Malaysia, our first vaccines will arrive in next 1 to 2 weeks before the end of February. As shown in nearly every country around the world that started vaccination, the rates have dropped very fast. So right now, before the end of February, when we start vaccinating, I believe all the way till April, May, the number of cases that we see, I have confidence is going to drop down very fast, right? And I think there will be an opposite problem. Every business owner, every company will be rushing to reopen at the same time, and we'll have a opposite problem. Lack of manpower, resources, lack of everything, because everyone is rushing to open at the same time.
So there's too many supply but lack of demand. Well, does that make sense?
There's no. Right now, everyone's just rushing to offer supply, but even to provide supply, you need to have resources, manpower, raw materials, and whatnot. So everybody will be rushing to reopen at the same time. So I think the opposite will happen. A lot of people are thinking, oh, it's going to be slow. I think everyone's going to try to get back to business as fast as possible at the same time. And when everyone starts seeing the numbers drop to very low levels, the conflict. Look, not too long ago, September 2020 last year, what do you see? Everybody came out of lockdown, it was near normal. 90%, 95% near normal. People were eating, drinking, hanging out.
Like we were back.
There was no coronavirus. And that was before the vaccination.
Yes.
So after the vaccination, can you imagine the mad rush to reopen?
Yes.
That will be another set of problems. It's not a slow reopening, it's a too fast reopening. Can you imagine all the malls trying to reopen at the same time?
Oh, they'll...
Most of them have let go of their part-time staff.
Yes, they've let go of their part-time staff.
They couldn't afford them, remember?
Yes, and they let go of tenants.
Okay, let's say one of the most popular malls in Malaysia, Mid Valley Mall, one of the largest in Asia. They have over 1,000 tenants plus inside.
Yeah, over 1,000.
Each shop will need 4 to 5 part-timers, if not 10. Imagine all of them trying to hire at the same time. You let go of your employees, now you're asking them to come back all at the same time. So there's going to be a huge supply and demand mismatch when we all reopen at the same time.
Ooh, it doesn't sound pretty.
That is the opposite problem that I see in terms of what's happening in the economy. It's going to reopen, vaccination is going to come, it's going to reopen, there's going to be a huge fight for resources, and consumers will have so many options because everybody will be doing promotions at the same time. Because no one has been doing any promotions for the past 1 year, and now everybody is rushing back to market at the same time.
Oh, that's actually a lot more scary than I imagined.
It's a happy problem, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, it is quite scary. It's not the pretty rainbow that we think of. So, okay, for you, Jason, what are you looking for at the moment itself regarding on what we're talking about right now?
Okay, so we're coming to the end of this session because this session was focused on Bitcoin.
Okay.
In the coming future, let me put my money where my mouth is, alright? Where I'm actually looking at, or planning to invest to. So number one, I think a lot of attention will be on China, because China has shown the world their sense of this social discipline. For example, when the pandemic first broke out, they managed to control it, and life is like near normal over there, alright? Unfortunately, as much as I like Americans, my family is there in the United States as well, Trump has also shown the world that too much freedom is no good, right? So most money managers, if you want to put your money in the economy, where would you want to put it with? An economy that recovers fast, or an economy that's divided, all right? So I think a lot of attention will be on China. China's stock market, in fact, is going straight up to the roof, all right? I think in terms of positioning, if you're in ASEAN, a lot of interest will be in blockchain, all right? Needless to say, if, for example, I try to make it to practical real life scenario. If you're a lawyer, take up a short course in blockchain, learn basic programming if you can, because that will make you a lawyer who's well versed in blockchain. Remember the agreements we talked about?
Yes.
And hence you could make agreements, or you could own the platform that creates agreements.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
What I was thinking. That lawyer can develop the app, and he will dominate the whole industry.
You could also use blockchain in music, right? The music industry, because imagine a near future where an artist creates a music, a song, and anyone who actually downloads and listens to the song will automatically pay him a small royalty. That is possible through digital technology, because what technology has done, and like I said, your generation has the power to change all these monopolies. People who have been holding on to power for too long, because what technology and internet does is it brings the power and passes it out to everyone. So your generation can actually start making changes, all right, through how people buy and sell, and by that way you change how politics, racism, and every challenge that's faced society, you can actually use technology and change it for the better.
So we have the power, guys. We do. It's just a matter of how we're going to use it and how smart we are with the steps that we're going to do.
Correct. So in the near future, you will see more accessibility of technology to the masses. Because like I said, it's good, interesting to talk about blockchain, but until it becomes popular, people won't know how to even buy a Bitcoin. If you ask people 10 years ago, it's very difficult to get a single Bitcoin. But it was cheap then. For $10 you could buy one Bitcoin, valued today at $51,000. But it's near impossible to get it if you didn't know how to start buying it. And even if you knew how to buy it, it's you wouldn't trust it. But now a lot of people are getting on board, because all you need to do is just download an app and it takes only 5 minutes. But 10 years ago, you had to go through multiple websites, do a wire transfer, and fingers crossed someone will pass you back your Bitcoin. So I think what I'm trying to talk about is accessibility. All this technology is good, and the next phase we'll see now is accessibility. I remember when Grab, the very popular app in Malaysia, it's like the Malaysian version of Uber first came out. Not many people believed in Grab, but it took 5 years?
It took about 5 years
before
for Grab to
you start using it and start trusting the app.
And we established as a e-hailing.
Mobility. Mobility on demand services. So I believe the near future, what I'm looking at is platforms where I believe your generation will reach a level where everything is digital, in the sense that you don't want to own stuff, but you're more likely to pay as you use it, from cars, right? I believe your generation soon will not want to own cars, because it's probably more cost effective to call for a car when you need one. And the governments of the world will make it very expensive to own a petrol driven car, because the environment is gone to hell. The environment is going to hell, seriously. So they will encourage cars that use electric, right? So there will be apps and services that allows accessibility. Your generation always complains about not owning properties, but I think they will probably go into more longer term versions, lease versions of Airbnb,
Yeah.
where you want to probably rent as you want, when you want it, where you want it. So this is it's going to be a shared economy. It's going to be very interesting.
It's very.
You could change your address as like that and just shift.
Hey, open your phone, changing my address from Damansara to Bangsa to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Change your postbox. You get stopped by ex-boyfriend. Just change the address like this. All right.
Girls, we gotta wait to survive.
And then your tenancy agreement can be written in blockchain. It's between you and the future landlord.
That will take up so much trouble. I mean,
free up. Yeah.
Yes,
they'll remove so much trouble.
Yes, that's
you
the way.
Trade off. A lot of people will still want to own things, but your generation will probably want to experience things. So owning versus experiencing. So Airbnb, you could experience. I experienced an apartment facing the Eiffel Tower. I don't have to own it, but I experienced it.
Yes, that's the difference.
And I'm not going to stay in France for the long term.
Yes.
I'm just going to go there for holiday. So for you, you're from Sabah, right?
Yeah.
So you're here to build a career in Klang Valley. So if you're not ready to own a house, you probably can rent anywhere you want using quick digital technology and shift. So nearly all your assets are going to be digital. Bitcoin today is digital money. You won't have thick wallets holding lots of currencies anytime soon. And in fact, thanks to the pandemic, I haven't been to the ATM for like 2 months. Have you?
I mean, last week when a machine had issues with debit card, but that was the first time in 2 months since I had to go to an ATM thanks to debit and e-wallet. So yeah, that's the truth in it. Everything's gonna go digital, and it's gonna make the future much more exciting.
So as we said, our mission is to prepare youth, all right, the millennials especially, to take advantage of the future.
Yes.
We'll leave resources in the links below, all right? So this has been a very fun session, again, talking about one of my favorite multiple topics about the future, how your generation is going to have so much access to power to change the issues which my generation inherited. From racism to politicians who are corrupted to because blockchain can create so much transparency.
True.
Right?
And we can finally clear out the air on so many things.
Yeah, environment. All right, so we'll go step by step as with all things. So until then, please support our channel. Like I said, we're doing this to encourage awareness.
Exactly.
To get the younger generation to prepare for the future. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon next week.
Okay guys, so don't forget to comment, subscribe, and share the news to everyone. And thank you so much for watching.
Take care.
Okay, signing out.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.